Okay, so guys, let's get started. This is where we are going to be using everything that we've learned in the previous video. So in SQL Server, your SQL Server interface, the first thing that it's going to bring to you is your SQL Server connection, where you are going to connect your server, and you're going to connect your SQL Server to your system server. So your server name is going to be your system name. The name that comes with your system, the name of your system, you can get that in your system information. Go to your start and then look for your system information. The system name or the computer name that is there is going to be your server name. Then that's going to be where all your database and your information, everything you have in your database, anything you are creating in your SQL, that is where it's going to be saved. So after having your name there, at the default, it's going to bring it for you. But if it does not bring it for you, you can go to your system information and then check it out. So immediately you have that, connect, and then you connect to your server. So here I can have my server. So this is my server, and then I have it already. So all I have to do is come here and then make a new query and then get started with whatever I want to do. So by default, you are going to be having master as your database, where your database is going to be stored. This is your database. You're going to have master as default. That is system default database. So if as a beginner, it is because I already have all this database already in my system, because I've worked on them before. So assuming I do not have any database, then I want to create a new one, especially for beginners. We do not have, this is the first time that we are using SQL Server. We have no idea about how it works. Then now we want to create a database. So what we have to do is come right here, and then click on new query, write our query. Then don't forget, I said our default, by default is going to be master, or if it is not master, it can be something else. So the first thing you have to do is create your own database where you want to have your information. So let's say you're going to have create database. Then the name of the database, you can see create, there is a space, then database, then there's another space. Now I want to, there should be a name of my database. What is the name that I want to give to my database? Let's say our SQL class. Our SQL class, that is what I want to use. That is what I want my database name to be. So immediately you are done with that, don't forget, okay, let me say there are two ways. Firstly, after creation, after typing this, writing whatever you want to write, so you can highlight it and then press this execute. You can execute your what you've written there. So immediately you execute it, you can see commands completed successfully. So that means my database have been created. So one mistake that most of us are going to be making in our beginner level is that immediately we are done with this, we are not going to highlight the particular when we start writing queries. So many people are going to be making the mistake of executing. If you should, I do not highlight this one. If I should not highlight and then press execute, it's going to, let's say I have a lot of queries here, or I have a lot of codes here. It's going, what will happen is that it's going to execute every queries that I have here. It's going to execute it for me. But if I want to execute a particular, just one, I don't want to execute everything. I just want to execute a particular code that I've written, or a particular queries that I've written. All you have to do is just highlight that particular code that you want to execute, then highlight it and then execute it. I've already executed this one. If I should do it again, it's not going to work, because you can see database, our SQL class already exists. I've already created the database. So if I should do that again, it's not going to work anymore, because unless I alter the name of the database. So now I've already created my database. Now I want to, don't forget we said a database is where you have your structured information. You have all your information under the database. So now we've created our database. Now we want to use our database. You can see that by default we said the database is going to be master, and that is default, the system default that is going to bring to you. Now we want to use our SQL class. That is the database that we want to use. We don't want to use the default one. So there are two ways that you can go about this. The first one is that you can come right here, and then you are going to you can see our SQL class. Our SQL class is already there, the database is already there. You can select it right here, or you write use. We are going to use our, that's what we want to do. You can see we want to use, we are telling SQL to use our SQL class as our database. So everything we are going to be storing is going to be storing under the SQL class. So you can go ahead and execute this one too as well. You can see command completed successfully. So immediately we are done with that, we are done with the creation, and then you can see right here we have our SQL class. So our database that we are using here is our SQL class. You can come right here, and then you can come right here. It is not here already, it is not here yet, so come to your database and then right click, then refresh. Immediately you do that, you can see our SQL class, it is already here. So we've added our database. Now after adding the database, we now have to go ahead and create our table. Don't forget, I said every time immediately you are done creating your database, the next thing for you to do is go ahead and create your table. And then don't forget all the previous presentation that we had, that the data type, the various data type that we have in SQL Server, we are going to be like fully making use of them now. So now let's say we want to create our table. Create table. So quite different from the previous one where we were creating our database. Let's say create table SQL class. Create table SQL class. If I should run this one like this, is not going to work, because we do not in SQL we don't create table like this. You have to give us all the columns that you want to enter in your database, in your table, before you can execute. If I should execute this, I'm going to have an error message. You can say incorrect syntax near SQL class. So immediately I'm done doing this one, I come down, then use my bracket. And for your information, SQL is not case sensitive, so either way you can go about. If you like, if you want to work with uppercase, you can use your uppercase. If you want sentence case, you can use sentence case. If you want lowercase, you can use your lowercase, depending on how you want your table to look like. So now I want to create a table, and in my table I want to create the database. I want to create the database of my workers, my employee. So what I'm going to do is have the columns of all their information. For example, I have to have their name, yes, but you can see here that name is also a function, is a command, like in SQL. So we cannot use this name directly like this. Anytime you have blue highlighted, it is signifying that it is a command. So we have to make sure that one we are signifying that we are like typing a column header. So we can go ahead and say name of employee. You can see that we do not have that blue highlight again, because this is not a function. Name is a function, so this one is not. So employee, name of employee. Then don't forget, when we're dealing with the string database, the string data type, you can go back to the first video and check how we go about using the variable character. So this is a variable character because we are dealing with a string, and then string, don't forget, it has to deal with anything that involves alpha text. So that is what we use the varchar for. So we are going to indicate the data type that we are using. So varchar, and then open a bracket for the number of characters that we can have, the number of characters. So you can say, okay, I want 50, my name, or whatever name that I'm going to be entering here is not going to be more than 50. So you can close your bracket. Or let's say we can say this one is first name of employee, so variable character. Then there is something we call null and then not null in SQL. We use null for if our data that we are going to have is not going to be filled, like that particular column do not have information we are going to be providing for it. But if we are going to be having information, let's say for the first name, we have to provide a name. We have to provide our employee they have a name, so we are going to be supplying the names for it. So we are going to type in not null here to indicate that we truly have something to supply to that particular column. So comma, that's for the first one. So that's for the first column that we are creating. So another one is the last name. Let's say the last name of employee or employee, and then we have virtual, just like the same way, virtual, and then the number of character, the length that we want to use, then not null, the same way, then comma, we have the first name, we have the last name, we have the age. Now here, age is not a string data type. Age has to do with numeric, it has to do with number. So, and then the numbers are not large number, they are just normal simple numeric numbers. So we are going to be using int, which is also known as integer. So not null as well. There's no need for you to supply the length of that one. Then we have after the age, we can have the, let's say, the rank or the designation. Let's say designation. Can have the designation, and then that one too as well is going to be a virtual character, and then we have to provide the length of that. Same thing, not null. Then we can go ahead and say our phone number. Let's say the phone number, and then int. Then okay, not null. Then we can provide, let's say, the email address. The email address, virtual. So we can decide to use 50 as well, not null, because we are going to be providing information. Not null. So we can still have let's say date of employment. So when each of the employers were employed, so we can use date, and then we have not null. So immediately we are done with that, we can just close our bracket, then run the data, execute, and then we can see commands completed successfully. So we've already added all the columns in the table that we've created. So to check out that, we can come down to our SQL database, then refresh.
Okay.
Refresh. Immediately we do that, we can have our table. Then right under the table, you can see the DBO, the SQL class table has been created. The table has been created. So right here, we can come here, right click, and then select top 1000 rows to see what we've done. So right here, you can see this is the column, the table column. We have for the first name, we have for the last name, we have for the age, we have for the designation, the phone number, the email, and those are the columns that we've entered. So let's say we want to continue with whatever we are trying to do. Let's say we want to now we want to put in information of our employee down to our table that we've created. So we can use the insert. We can use the insert. Then we use the, don't forget, we said that the DDL is used for the table creation, and the DML is used for manipulation of the data that are to be stored in the in our table. So using one of the DML function, the commands, we can use the insert to insert various names. But before we go, if you want to, don't forget, we said we can still drop. Let's say we are not interested in one column again, we can decide to drop column. If you want to add, we can decide to add, but we can